Welcome back, you guys, for another deep dive. This time we're going to be talking about Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie.
An absolute classic.
Yeah, and I feel like this is one that a lot of people have either read or seen one of the many adaptations.
Right, exactly.
So we're going to try to do a spoiler-free kind of overview
Yeah.
so that you can kind of get a sense of what this book is about and maybe decide to pick it up.
And if you have read it, maybe hear some interesting things about it.
Exactly. So Murder on the Orient Express, obviously right off the bat, you get this image of this luxurious train
Yeah.
traveling across Europe. And what's interesting about this particular story is that the train gets stuck
Uh-huh.
in a snowdrift.
Yeah, it's a very, very specific setting, right?
Yes, and that's one of the things that makes it so unique, is that it creates this closed environment.
Right, it's a locked room mystery on a train.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
you have this group of passengers who are now all trapped together.
Yeah.
And of course, a murder happens.
Of course. You wouldn't be an Agatha Christie novel without it.
Exactly. So the victim is initially introduced as this man named Mr. Ratchet.
Great, kind of mysterious character.
Yes, very mysterious.
Mm.
And as the story unfolds, we come to find out that his real name is Cassetti.
Cassetti.
And that name is significant because it ties back to a previous case.
Yes, a very famous case, the Armstrong kidnapping.
Exactly.
It was a huge scandal.
Right. And so that connection to this past case really adds another layer to the mystery.
Yeah, it's not just a murder, it's a story of revenge and justice.
Right. And it makes you question everyone's motives, right?
Yeah.
Because anyone on that train could have a connection to this past case and therefore a reason to want Cassetti dead.
Exactly. It's like everyone's a suspect.
Yeah. And the passengers themselves are such a fascinating mix.
Yeah, a real cast of characters.
We have Mary Debenham, this young governess.
Kind of quiet and reserved.
Right. And then there's Colonel Arbuthnot.
The stoic military man.
Yes. And they both have connections to the Armstrong family.
Yeah, which immediately raises suspicions.
Exactly. And then you have Princess Dragomarov, this older aristocratic woman.
Very imposing figure.
Yes. And her backstory is also connected to the Armstrongs.
Right, through her goddaughter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then there's the glamorous Count and Countess Andreni.
A very stylish couple.
Right. And it turns out they have a very surprising connection to the Armstrong case.
Oh, yeah, major twist.
Yes. So basically, everyone on board has some tie to this past tragedy.
It's like a tangled web of relationships.
Right. And it makes you wonder if their presence on the train is just a coincidence.
Or something more deliberate.
Exactly. Like, are they all there for a reason? Is there some kind of plan in motion?
It's definitely a possibility. You can't rule anything out with Agatha Christie.
Right. And that's what makes it so gripping.
Yeah.
As you're reading, you're constantly trying to figure out who the killer is and what their motive might be.
And with so many suspicious characters, it's not an easy task.
No, it's not.
You think you have it figured out, and then Christie throws in another twist.
Exactly. And then, of course, you have Hercule Poirot.
Our favorite Belgian detective.
Yes. He's called in to investigate the murder.
And he has his work cut out for him.
He does. Because with everyone trapped on the train, everyone becomes a suspect.
It's a classic locked room mystery.
Exactly. And Poirot has to use all of his wit and his little gray cells.
He loves those gray cells.
Right, to unravel the truth. And one of the interesting things that he does is he uses this kind of guessing game
Oh, yeah.
where he assigns roles from the Armstrong case to each passenger.
Right, to gauge their reaction.
Exactly. It's almost like he's playing a psychological game with them.
He's a master of observation.
Yes. And he's looking for any little slip-up, any clue that might reveal their true involvement in the case.
It's fascinating to watch him work.
It is.
He picks up on the smallest details, things that most people would overlook.
Right, and that's what makes him such a brilliant detective. He sees things that others don't.
He's always one step ahead.
Exactly.
And in this case, he's going to need all of his skills to solve the puzzle.
Because the clues are often contradictory, and there are a lot of red herrings.
Yes, Agatha Christie is known for her clever misdirection.
Exactly. So you think you're on the right track, and then something happens that throws you off completely.
It's like she's playing with our minds.
She is. And that's what makes it so fun to read.
It keeps you guessing until the very end.
Exactly. And the solution, when it's finally revealed, is both shocking and satisfying.
It's a classic Christie twist.
It is.
You never see it coming.
Right. And if you want to go back and reread the book just to see if you miss any clues along the way.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a story that really stays with you.
Yeah. It makes you think about the nature of justice and revenge.
And the lengths that people will go to protect those they love.
It's a powerful story, and it's no wonder that it's considered one of Christie's best.
I agree. And even though it's been adapted so many times, the book still holds up.
Oh, absolutely. It's a timeless classic.
Definitely. And it's one that I would highly recommend to anyone who loves a good mystery.
I second that. And I think one of the things that makes this particular book so intriguing is the way Christie slowly reveals the backstories of each passenger.
Right, like peeling back the layers of an onion.
Exactly. You start to see how everyone on board is connected to the Armstrong case in some way.
It's like this intricate web of relationships.
Right. And as you delve deeper into their pasts, you discover that they all have secrets and hidden motives.
Yeah, like Mary Debenham, the governess.
Right. She seems so quiet and unassuming at first.
But then you find out she was actually in love with the Armstrong family's chauffeur.
And that she was deeply affected by the tragedy.
Exactly. It adds a whole new dimension to her character.
Yeah, she's not just a random governess caught in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Right, she has a personal stake in this case.
Exactly. And then there's Colonel Arbuthnot.
The stoic military man.
He turns out to have been best friends with the victim's father.
And he was actually in love with the victim's mother.
It's like everyone has these hidden connections and past romances.
It's a very tangled web.
It is. And it makes you wonder if their love for the Armstrong family could have motivated them to seek revenge.
Right, because they all lost someone they cared about because of Ratchet.
Exactly. And then there's Princess Dragomirov.
She seems so intimidating at first.
Very aristocratic.
Right, but then you find out she was the godmother of the kidnapped child.
And she was devastated by the loss.
So she also has a strong personal connection to the case.
Yeah. And it makes you question her motives as well. Is she simply a concerned godmother, or is there something more to her involvement?
Right. And then, of course, there's the Count and Countess Andrani.
Such a glamorous couple.
Right. But their connection to the Armstrong case is probably the most shocking of all.
Oh, yeah, it's a major
It
twist.
turns out the Countess is actually the sister of the victim's mother.
So she's the aunt of the kidnapped child.
Exactly. And the Count is fiercely protective of his wife.
So they both have a very strong motive for wanting Ratchet dead.
It's amazing how Christie manages to weave all these characters and their backstories together.
Right, it's like a giant puzzle, and each piece fits perfectly.
And as Poirot starts to put those pieces together, he uncovers more and more secrets.
And he realizes that nothing is what it seems.
Exactly. Everyone is hiding something.
And everyone has a reason to lie.
It makes you question everything you thought you knew about the passengers.
And it makes you wonder if anyone on that train is truly innocent.
It's a very unsettling feeling.
It is. It's like you're trapped in this claustrophobic environment with a group of people who are all capable of murder.
And you don't know who to trust.
Exactly. It's a brilliant setup for a mystery.
It is. And it keeps you guessing until the very end.
And it all comes down to Poirot, right?
Yeah.
He's the one who has to sift through all the lies and the deception.
Right. He has to figure out who's telling the truth and who's trying to mislead him.
Which is no easy feat with this group.
No, they're all very good at playing their parts.
Oh yeah, they're all masters of disguise in a way.
Right. They've all built up these facades to protect themselves.
To hide their true motives.
Exactly. And Poirot has to break through those facades to get to the truth.
And he does it so brilliantly.
Yeah, he uses his powers of observation, his understanding of human nature.
His little gray cells.
Exactly. To piece together the puzzle.
And the solution, when he finally reveals it, it's just mind-blowing.
It is. It's one of those twists that makes you gasp out loud.
Right. You just can't believe it at first.
And then you have to go back and reread certain parts just to see how you missed the clues.
Because they were there all along.
Right. Christie is so clever in the way she plants those clues.
She doesn't miss a trick.
No, she doesn't.
Mm.
And I think that's why people love her books so much.
Yeah, she always keeps you guessing.
And she always delivers a satisfying ending.
Even if it's not the ending you were expecting.
Exactly. And in this case, the ending is particularly thought-provoking.
Right. It raises questions about justice and morality.
And the idea of collective guilt.
Yeah, because in a way, all of the passengers are responsible for the murder.
Right. They all played a part in it.
And Poirot has to decide what to do with that knowledge.
It's a heavy burden.
It is. And his decision ultimately reflects his own moral compass.
And his belief in the power of redemption.
I think that's a key theme in a lot of Christie's work.
Yeah, the idea that even the most flawed individuals are capable of change.
And that sometimes justice doesn't always have to be black and white.
Right. There are shades of gray.
Exactly. And in this case, Poirot chooses mercy over revenge.
Which is a powerful message.
It is, and it's one that I think resonates with readers even today.
Definitely. So if you haven't read Murder on the Orient Express, I highly recommend it.
It's a classic for a reason.
It is. And it's sure to keep you entertained and engaged from beginning to end.
And it might even make you think a little bit about the world around you.
Exactly. Well, thanks for joining me for this deep dive into Murder on the Orient Express.
It was my pleasure.
And be sure to check out our next episode where we'll be discussing another thrilling mystery novel.
We'll see you then.
And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our future deep dives.